Namaskar. Today we'll be moving on from this Canto 10 to the next Canto, Canto 11. But before we do so, there are some pending questions from last time. So I will deal with the questions first. The first question was about a word that comes at the bottom of page 256. I'll read the whole sentence. For not by reason was creation made, and not by reason can the truth be seen, which through the veils of thought, the screens of sense, hardly the spirit's vision can descry, dimmed by the imperfection of its means. So the word descry is not very familiar. It means to be able to make out. You look with difficulty, and you perhaps in the distance, somebody is there, you think it might be a friend, you're not sure, you can't descry who it is. So here he's making a similar point, that there are reasons why the vision of the spirit cannot descry the truth. It cannot see the truth because its vision is dimmed by the imperfection of its means, the means which it has in this realm of reason. The spirit cannot descry the truth, definitely not by reason. Then a little further on, also in the same passage about reason, there comes this sentence. The world she has made, that is reason again, is an interim report of a traveller towards the half-found truth in things, moving twixt nescience and nescience. For nothing is known while aught remains concealed. The truth is known only when all is seen. So this word ought, A-U-G-H-T, is also unfamiliar. No? It means anything. So what the poet is saying, that we can't know anything truly as long as anything remains hidden. The truth is known only when all is seen. It needs an integral vision that can see everything. Only then we can grasp something of the truth. Then further on page 258, lines 722 to 725, the poet tells us, even now, in our dimmed vision, even now, great thoughts are here. Great thoughts that walk alone. These great thoughts come armed with the infallible word in an investiture of intuitive light that is a sanction from the eyes of God. Those great thoughts have come into our human consciousness. They have come armed, clothed with an infallible word. They've come from a great height. They've been clothed, they've been given a kind of uniform, an investiture of intuitive light. And that uniform, that investiture, is a sanction from the eyes of God. The question was about this word sanction, which is rather a strange word because it has two meanings which are directly opposite to each other. Here, the sanction from the eyes of God, the Lord has looked at these thoughts and said yes to them. But of course in the newspapers and on TV we hear about sanctions being applied against this or that company or country, and then it means that we are blocking them. We don't want to trade with them, we don't want to have anything to do with them. So sanction, it means both these things. Here it is positive. It means the eyes of God have looked at these great thoughts and said yes to them. And then we come to the last short section of Canto 10, and I'm going to explain that again in full. It begins above. Above, in a high, breathless stratosphere, overshadowing the dwarfish trinity, lived aspirants to a limitless beyond, captives of space, walled by the limiting heavens, in the unceasing circuit of the hours, yearning for the straight paths of eternity, and from their high station looked down on this world, two sun-gaze demons, witnessing all that is. In the first part of the canto, we read about these three powers of mind: the dwarfish physical mind, the wild and uncontrollable life mind, and the reason. So here it says that above them, in a high, breathless stratosphere. The stratosphere is the outermost layer of the Earth's atmosphere. And for us it would be impossible to breathe there. That's why he uses this word, breathless. There are these two demons with a capital D. It's a Greek word, ancient Greek word. It's of course connected with the word demon. But while a demon we think of as a bad spirit, these demons were perhaps considered as guiding spirits. The great ancient Greek philosopher Socrates said that he was guided by his inner daemon. And it told him very simple things, whether to turn right or left at the crossroads, but it also guided him in other ways. So these are guiding spirits. They are overshadowing these three little powers of mind. They are aspiring to a limitless beyond, but they are still captives of space. So they're still part of our manifestation. They are walled by limiting heavens. They can't escape into the straight paths of eternity. But that's what they are aspiring for, these two spirits. And from their high station, from the levels where they are looking down on this world. That's a general description of both of them. He calls them two sun-gaze demons. So this adjective, sun-gaze, it suggests that they can look directly at the sun, as eagles are supposed to be able to do. He likens them to eagles, that these beings are flying very, very high and looking directly at the sun, and their eyes are not dazzled by the powerful sunlight. And then the poet describes each of them separately. The first one, he says, is a power to uplift the laggard world. To uplift, to lift up the laggard world, this world which is not progressing quickly enough, fast enough. A laggard is somebody who is hanging behind, not keeping up with things. So the first one is a power to uplift the laggard world. And he says it is imperious. It has a powerful view, a huge, high-winged life thought. This is quite different from that life mind that we read about earlier in the Canto, which was out of control, but nevertheless had its purpose and its usefulness. This is a huge, high-winged life thought, unwont to tread the firm, unchanging soil. So the question was about the word unwont. If you're wont to do something, you do it habitually, every day or every week, as we are wont to meet here on Thursday afternoons. This is not used, this power is not used to treading the firm, unchanging soil. It doesn't set foot on our earth. It is flying with its huge wings far above us. It is accustomed to a blue infinity, a limitless space. And it's planing there like condors or vultures or other very big birds. They sail up on the currents of hot air, and they get high up, and there they plane without moving their wings at all. It planed in sunlit sky and starlit air. It saw afar. Because it's so high up, it can see a great distance. It saw afar the unreached immortal's home, and heard afar the voices of the gods. Then the poet describes this daemon further. He says, it's an iconoclast and shatterer of time's thoughts. An iconoclast is one who destroys things that people believe in. Things that they consider sacred and unchangeable, the iconoclast comes and destroys them. So this spirit is destroying the way that things are. It's a shatterer of time's thoughts, of those strong established habits and ways. It is overleaping limit, all boundaries, and exceeding norm. Norms are the normal standards that we rely on. It goes beyond those. As far as its self-winged airplanes could fly, visiting the future in great, brilliant raids, it reconnoitered vistas of dream fate. So it's a wonderful image, these self-winged airplanes, its own wings, as far as they could fly. It goes visiting the future of the earth. In great, brilliant raids, it goes and into the future and brings things back. And it also is reconnoitering vistas of dream fate. To reconnoiter, this is a kind of military term. The old armies which went on foot used to send out ahead of them scouts also on foot to find out what was lying ahead, where there might be a good place to mount an attack. Is there a river? Are there some woods? Are there obstacles? To reconnoiter, it goes ahead and sees what is there. So what it is reconnoitering, what it's looking for, is vistas, long views, long perspectives of dream fate, of what might be in the distant future. The poet says that that daemon, that high-winged life thought, is apt to conceive, unable to attain. This is a kind of state of the mind which is able to have great visions for the future, but is not able to find the way to fulfill them. It's apt, it's competent to conceive these great dreams of the future, but it's not able to attain them, not able to achieve them. But what it does, it draws maps, concept maps, and vision plans for achieving those great achievements of the future, no? But those maps and plans are too large for the architecture of mortal space. They belong to much higher realms that won't be achieved until the future. That is that first one, this huge, high-winged life thought. And just as there are beings who seem to embody the powers of the first three small beings, perhaps there are beings, even human beings, who to some extent embody the qualities of this high-winged life thought. And then the second one. The second one is described like this: beyond, in wideness where no footing is, an imagist of bodiless ideas, impassive to the cry of life and sense, a pure thought mind surveyed the cosmic act, archangel of a white transcending realm. It saw the world from solitary heights, luminous in a remote and empty air. So above the level of this dwarf trinity, there are these two much greater beings. They don't touch ground. First comes the life thought, and even above that is this pure thought mind, which is able to make a survey, to look and encompass everything that is happening in the universe, the cosmic act. He describes it as a kind of archangel. We know what angels are, divine messengers, but archangels are the highest ones in the hierarchy. So this being occupies a white, transcending realm which goes beyond our universe. It's able to survey the cosmos from where it stands. It saw the world from solitary heights. It's living up there, luminous in that remote and empty air. It's interesting to me that Sri Aurobindo has included these two spirits in the canto which is about the little mind. They obviously belong to an in-between space, which has nothing to do with the little mind, which is far above, but which perhaps is not yet the greater mind. So I hope that answers the questions that were asked earlier. So now we could embark on Canto 11, the kingdoms and godheads of the greater mind. This is quite a long canto. I'm just going to read the introductory part of it. There ceased the limits of the laboring power, the power empowered to create mind on earth. There ceased the limits of the laboring power, but being and creation cease not there, for thought transcends the circles of mortal mind. It is greater than its earthly instrument. The Godhead, crammed into mind's narrow space, escapes on every side into some vast that is a passage to infinity. It moves eternal in the Spirit's field, a runner towards the far spiritual light, a child and servant of the Spirit's force. But mind, too, falls back from a nameless peak. His being, this is Asvapati's being, his being stretched beyond the sight of thought. For the Spirit is eternal and unmade, and not by thinking was its greatness born, and not by thinking can its knowledge come. It knows itself, and in itself it lives. It moves where no thought is, nor any form. Its feet are steadied upon finite things. Its wings can dare to cross the infinite. Arriving into his ken, a wonder space of great and marvelous meetings called his steps, where thought leaned on a vision beyond thought and shaped a world from the unthinkable. On peaks imagination cannot tread, in the horizons of a tireless sight, under a blue veil of eternity, the splendors of ideal mind were seen, outstretched across the boundaries of things known. Origin of the little that we are, instinct with the endless more that we must be, a prop of all that human strength enacts, creator of hopes by earth unrealized. It spreads beyond the expanding universe. It wings beyond the boundaries of dream. It overtops the ceiling of life's soar. Awake in a luminous sphere, unbound by thought, exposed to omniscient immensities. It casts on our world its great crowned influences. Its speed that outstrips the ambling of the hours. Its force that strides invincibly through time. Its mights that bridge the gulf twixt man and God. Its lights that combat ignorance and death. In its vast ambit of ideal space, where beauty and mightiness walk hand in hand, the Spirit's truths take form as living gods, and each can build a world in its own right. In an air which doubt and error cannot mark with the stigmata of their deformity. In communion with the musing privacy of a truth that sees in an unerring light, where the sight falters not, nor wanders thought. Exempt from our world's exorbitant tax of tears, dreaming its luminous creations gaze on the ideas that people eternity. In a sun blaze of joy and absolute power, above the masters of the ideal throne, in sessions of secure felicity, in regions of illumined certitude. Far are those realms from our labor and yearning and call. Perfection's reign and hallowed sanctuary, closed to the uncertain thoughts of human mind, remote from the turbid tread of mortal life. But since our secret selves are next of kin, a breath of unattained divinity visits the imperfect earth on which we toil. Across a gleaming ether's golden laugh, a light falls on our vexed, unsatisfied lives. A thought comes down from the ideal worlds and moves us to new model, even here, some image of their greatness and appeal, and wonder beyond the ken of mortal hope. I read it again and try and explain a little bit about each sentence. There, with those two sun-gazed demons, there ceased the limits of the labouring power, that power who is missioned to evolve mind upon earth. It can't go beyond those great heights. But being, existence, and the creation do not end there. Because thought transcends, it goes beyond the circles of mortal mind. Our thoughts are somehow limited within certain circles, the circles of mortal mind, this mind that is subject to ignorance and death. But thought with a capital T, is greater than its earthly instrument, the instrument of the brain that we use. The Godhead, the divinity, that is thought, crammed into mind's narrow space, if it's confined to our physical brains, escapes on every side into some vast, some great space that is a passage to infinity, to unlimited space. Thought moves, or that Godhead of consciousness, moves eternal in the Spirit's field. It is a runner towards the far spiritual light, a child and servant of the Spirit's force. But mind too falls back from a nameless peak. There's a height beyond which it cannot go. Now Asvapati's being, stretched beyond the sight of thought, his being, with each of these steps that he makes up the world stair, his being is growing more and more vast and unlimited. So now with this new step, his being stretched beyond the sight of thought. For the Spirit is eternal and unmade, uncreated. And not by thinking was the greatness of the Spirit born, and not by thinking can its knowledge come. The Spirit knows itself, and in itself it lives. It moves where no thought is, nor any form. Its feet are steadied upon finite things. Its wings can dare to cross the infinite. At the beginning, in the first canto of Book 3, Sri Aurobindo gives this wonderful image of how Asvapati sees these feet of the Spirit standing, steadied on the outstretched wings of life. And the mother has done a wonderful sketch of this, and Huta has made a painting of this, the Spirit steadying its feet upon finite things, the things that are within the universe. Then we have this line, arriving into his ken. Your ken is what you know, or what you can know. So into his realm of knowledge comes now a new experience, a wonder space of great and marvelous meetings called his steps. And in that wonder space, thought is leaning on, it's supported by a power of vision which is beyond thought. And that vision shapes a world from the unthinkable, which cannot be encompassed by thought. King Asvapati stands on peaks imagination cannot tread, in the horizons of a tireless sight, under a blue veil of eternity, the splendors of ideal mind were seen. This is a level in the hierarchy of existence, the realm of the ideal. And this is ideal mind. So Sri Aurobindo is going to tell us something more about this realm of the ideal mind. It is outstretched across the boundaries of things known. It's on the edge of the frontiers of what we can know. It is the origin of the little that we are. And it is instinct, it is packed full with the endless more that we must be. It is the support of all that human strength enacts, carries out or achieves. And it's the creator of hopes by earth unrealized. All our ideal hopes for better things. It spreads beyond the expanding universe. The universe is getting bigger and bigger, but this realm of the ideal is also spreading beyond that. It wings beyond the boundaries of dream, beyond all limits. It overtops the ceiling, the very highest level of life's soar. Life can rise up very high, and there's one place in the poem where he says that it is really on the borders of the divine infinite. But this ideal mind is even beyond that. It's awake in a luminous sphere, unbound by thought, unlimited by thought. It's exposed to omniscient immensities, vast powers and truths and spaces where everything can be known. That ideal world of ideal mind is spreading out on our world its great crowned influences. Casting, it's what a farmer does with his seed. He spreads it out over the earth. So in the same way, that realm of ideal mind is casting on our world its great crowned influences, its mighty, powerful influences. And it's casting on our world its speed that outstrips the ambling of the hours. Ambling is just moving along slowly like an Indian bullock, ambling. The hours of our time maybe go, or if they were thinking of them as ambling, that world moves so much more swiftly. It's force that strides invincibly through time, which can't be stopped. Its mights, its powers that bridge the gulf twixt man and God. The powers of the ideal mind form a bridge between humanity and the divine. It's lights that combat ignorance and death. Where those lights shine, ignorance and death are conquered. So in that vast ambit of ideal space, that realm where beauty and mightiness walk hand in hand, the Spirit's truths take form as living gods, and each can build a world in its own right. These words make us think that this ideal mind must have something to do with what Sri Aurobindo has termed overmind. It is the realm of the gods, where each of those divine powers can build a world in its own right. The Spirit's truths take form as living gods, and each can build a world in its own right. In an air which doubt and error cannot mark, with the stigmata of their deformity. The stigmata, people who are familiar with Christian doctrine will know about the marks on the hands and feet of Jesus. These are the stigmata. These are the signs of identification with him. But of course they are deformities also. So doubt and error, he says, are these marks of imperfection, but they can't come anywhere near that world of ideal sight and vision. In communion with the musing privacy of a truth that sees in an unerring light, a light that cannot be mistaken, where the sight falters not, nor wanders thought, exempt from our world's exorbitant tax of tears, dreaming its luminous creations gaze on the ideas that people eternity. We know what it means to be exempt from tax. No? So he says, our world, that here in our world we're paying an exorbitant tax of tears. Exorbitant means ridiculously too much, outrageously too much. They are free from that tax of tears. The creations of that realm gaze on the ideas. This ideas with a capital I. It's like they are the creative templates on which the world is built. The ideas that people eternity, eternal ideas, templates that will go on being reproduced forever. In a sun blaze of joy and absolute power, above us, above our world, the masters of the ideal throne. They sit there and they rule in sessions of secure felicity. They can't be attacked or troubled in any way. This use of the word throne as a verb is unusual, but Sri Aurobindo does it in a couple of places in the poem. And it often goes together with sessions, because a session is when people sit together. So those masters of the ideal throne in sessions of secure felicity, in regions of illumined certitude, without any doubt or error. So I'm going to stop there for today. We'll continue next time. Yes, vision is greater than thought. Thought is an operation of mind. Vision sees directly and knows. So the question is, the vision is greater than thought. That's line 22 here. His being stretched beyond the sight of thought. And here it says that thought leaned on, it's supported by a vision which goes beyond thought. Thanks to Sri Aurobindo.